Thank you for this invitation. So I'm going to speak about ultra-sensitive Doppler, or how to be able to reach a level where you can really see very small arterioles and venules with ultrasound. All this innovation is coming again from ultra-fast imaging, what we call plane wave imaging, and it's something we introduced more than almost 20 years ago in research. It was tried to send directly a plane wave instead of focusing line per line like all echographic devices typically in the world. Today, supersonic imaging is using a plane wave in order to reach very fast frame rates, 1,000, 5,000 frame rates, frames per second. And I think it's the only system in clinics that is able to reach these ultra-fast frame rates. And these frame rates are interesting because as soon as you go ultra-fast, you see the invisible things. What is invisible is what is behind this wall there, but it's also what is not visible because it goes too fast. And you see it here with an ultra-fast camera. You are able to see things that a normal camera will not be able to see, and what your eyes are not able to see. In fact, you see shear waves, mechanical waves in this instrument. And what is interesting, really, for medicine is that as soon as you try to understand what happens in our body, all the most important underlying physics of the human body occurs in this millisecond range. You can create shear waves just by vibrations that go very fast, several meters per second in your body. You can, when you contract your fiber muscles, you are going to create a contraction along your fiber muscle, which is going at several meters per second. And of course, blood flow, you know, in big arteries, blood flow is going typically at 1 meter per second when you've got stenosis. So you have to go in the millisecond range to be able to assess all this physics of human body. And in fact, you know this very well in Doppler because on all echographic devices in the world, the frame rate is extremely important. And it's the reason why for more than 30 years, you've got two modalities in Doppler. You've got what we call color flow imaging, where you shot at one location 10 times, you see what is moving and you see its blood flow. And if you want to make a complete image, you have to move your beam at another location, fire again 10 times, and then again like this, in order to make a complete map of the blood flow. But it's not properly quantitative, in fact. If you want to be properly quantitative, you have to do one of the first modes of Doppler ultrasound was pulse wave Doppler, where you stay at the same location and you acquire at ultra-fast frame rate along one line. It's 1D ultra-fast, in fact. And in that case, you have a huge amount of time samples. If you use now plane waves with exactly the same number of transmissions and receptions, you are going to have a huge amount of data compared to the other modes, because each pixel is going to have a huge amount of time samples, and it's going to give you much more information. Of course, you understand this. Ultra-fast Doppler is going to give you much more information. And it's really going to be a revolution, I think, because there is plenty of application of this. Of course, when you do ultra-fast Doppler, you think, okay, I'm going to be able to see very complex flows, turbulence, for example, in the earth, in the chambers, or turbulence at the bifurcation of your carotids. Of course, we understand this, it's obvious. But in fact, when you go ultra fast, you are going to be able to see much better the very low flows in very small vessels, and which is counterintuitive, in fact. And it's the reason why is because you acquire a lot of time samples, and as you've got a lot of time samples, you are going to increase your way to get this data out of the noise. So you increase the sensitivity sometimes by a factor 50, and you are able to see very small vessels. You will see that we will be able with this to create new maps with quantitative parameters of hemodynamics, and I think it will be interesting in the future. And this kind of ultra-sensitive Doppler imaging in ultrasound help us to enter really for research into neuroscience. So really, ultrasound is going to be able to do, like fMRI, functional imaging of brain activity because it's becoming extremely sensitive. And it's something we have been doing at the beginning mainly for research. We were able to see the vascularization here of the brain of a rat, the full vascularization of the brain, and we were also able to see the activation of the brain, so the neurovascular coupling, so it's epileptic seizures of the brain here that you are going to see, and it's impossible to see this with fMRI, in fact, today in animals. Oh, sorry, movie is not working. So it's functional ultrasound imaging of brain activity because you become so sensitive that you see you see tiny vessels, and you see blood flow at typically 1 millimeter per second. Okay. You are able for cancer research to see the vascularization in a growing mice tumor, for example. Here it's only 6 millimeter tumor. You see propolis vascularization without any contrast agent injection. And it was what we were doing at the beginning in research. And what is nice is that you have an increase of sensitivity because you have a lot of parameters. But you can go even at higher sensitivities if you use very innovative spatiotemporal clutter filters that are able to give you access to the discrimination of tissues and blood flow. You know, it's very important in Doppler imaging to have a very good clutter filter, because if you check here in the brain of a human baby, neonate, you see here at ultra-fast frame rate, very fast-moving pixels here, which corresponds to blood flow. And you see that sometimes you've got pulsatility. So you see here at ultra-fast frame rate in slow motion inside the brain of a baby. And you clearly see that if you do like any conventional clutter filter, if you are going to separate motion from blood flow, what you do typically is you make a filter, a temporal filter, because you know that high frequencies correspond to blood flow and low frequencies correspond to tissue motion. And if you do so, you obtain this kind of images, so you power Doppler images. And what you see here is that you have perturbations, disturbance, because you have motion of tissues that is going to occur. And you see at one stage of the cardiac cycle, you lose information because you are in diastole. The blood flow becomes too small and you lose everything. So you see there is a problem with the clutter filters. As soon as you've got ultra-fast Doppler, you have access synchronously in all pixels to all information. So you are going to implement not temporal filters, you are going to implement spatial and temporal filters. And in that case, you are able to recover the information which was hidden. And the problem was here, in fact, the very small vessels with very low blood flow are completely hidden by tissue motion. But with spatiotemporal filters, you increase this and you get it out of the noise. And it's exactly what we did. And here you see an example. It's a nice example because the radiologist was handling the probe on in a transfontanelar position, and he was moving. There was a motion artifact. If you use conventional filters, you see the blood flow here. If you use spatiotemporal clutter filtering, you increase a lot the sensitivity, and you get rid of all tissue motion artifacts in that case. And you see very, very tiny vessels here, 100 micrometer vessels here. An example made by Jean-Michel Corras at Necker Hospital. It's a human transplanted kidney. You see you have a very, very sensitive image of the complete vascularization of the kidney and the cortex. Here you see the orientation of the vessels in the cortex. And this mode is now available on the Explorer system. It's called Angio Plus for plane wave ultra-sensitive imaging. And if you compare here in a liver hemangioma conventional color Doppler and Angio Plus, you clearly see that there is a huge amount of more information, especially in small vessels. Here you see vascularizations surrounding the hemangioma. Another example, FNH in the liver, you clearly see on conventional Doppler, you have only this vessel blood flow coming inside the FNH, and you clearly see when you go to ultra-sensitive Doppler, you begin to see the vascularization, the wheel shape vascularization of the FNH. Another example, thyroid nodules in conventional Doppler, and the same kind of acquisitions in ultra-sensitive Doppler, Angio Plus mode. So you see a huge improvement in the sensitivity of Doppler flow. A last example here, you have also a real-time mode, and you see here an example in the tendon, Achilles tendon microvascularization. You see that these very small vessels penetrating in the tendon, and you can have access to this kind of information. Okay, so it's interesting. What will be the future of this? Because we have this on the system today commercially, but we are going to go further, of course. And as soon as you got access to all this information in all pixels, you are going to be able to extract quantitative information about the blood flow. And this quantitative information is able to solve sometimes clinically relevant problems. And I'm going to show you two basic examples. One, again, in the brain of human neonates. You see here the echographic image, the B-mode image with the Explorer platform. Here you see the ultrasensitive Doppler imaging. So you see the penetrating arteries in the cortex. You see the vascularization here in the thalamus properly. But if you do one second acquisition, one cardiac cycle, you have access in all pixels to the Doppler spectrum. So if you recall the data here, and you see in all pixels the Doppler spectrum, you are going to be able to estimate the arterial resistivity. You know this Vmax minus V in diastole divided by Vmax. You are going to make it in all pixels. You don't need to go to PW Doppler. And in that case, you are going to be able to produce first maps of arterial resistivity. And it's what we've done in babies. You are able to see this resistivity index maps. And you see here in arteries, it's typically 0.8 for resistivity index. And in blue, 0.2, 0.3. So you have, for the first time, a way to differentiate arteries and veins from their pulsatility, in fact, on maps. Another interesting example, last one, it's placental flow. You know, when you try to see blood flow in the placenta, it's extremely interesting because, of course, there is a mixture between the maternal flow and the fetal flow. But as soon as you've got a placental dysfunction, there is a high risk of pregnancy, and we know that blood flow could be an interesting predicting factor. But there is two big problems. The first one is sensitivity. You see only big vessels, in fact, when you try to check the vascularization of the placenta. And the second problem is that you've got a mixture between the blood flow from the mother and the blood flow from the fetus. And what you can do is shown here. It's research. It was in rabbit, so it's not commercially available today, but it's to show you that what is going to happen with this kind of algorithm. You see the vascularization in the placenta. Of course, instead of seeing only the big vessels, you see all the very small vessels, very high sensitivity. But now, if you analyze the resistivity index and the pulsatility index in each pixel, and you make a map which corresponds in blue to what is pulsatile in the placenta, in red what is non-pulsatile in the placenta, you obtain this kind of maps. And now if you want to understand, you have just to clamp the artery of the mother during the experiment. If you do so, you see you obtain this kind of image. So it's a fetal blood flow. And you clearly see that it's corresponding to the pulsatile flow. So in fact, just by separating what is pulsatile and what is non-pulsatile, you are able, just with an algorithm, to separate maternal and fetal blood flow. Because you are using plane waves, because you have access to all this information everywhere at the same time. Okay. So in conclusion, I think ultrafast Doppler, of course, leads to very high sensitivity imaging of small vessels. In research, we have shown a 50 times improvement in sensitivity. We are able to see 1 millimeter per second blood flow in arterioles, for example, in the brains of animals or in small parts. Combined with plane wave imaging, if you use innovative spatiotemporal clutter filters, you are going to strongly outperform conventional filters and increase a second time this kind of sensitivity. It's implemented on the Explorer platform now. It's the Angio Plus mode. We hope that it could minimize the need of contrast agents in the future. We hope that it will provide diagnostic information that could help to reduce the need for biopsies. And of course, the concept of ultrafast Doppler will lead to quantitative maps of blood flow hemodynamics, new maps with this. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Very impressive pictures. Thank you very much, Michael. So do you have any question from the floor? Okay, so I would like to thank you very much, all the presenters, and thank you also the Supersonic Imaging for these developments. Thank you very much for your attendance, and have a nice afternoon.